Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaste. In the second session of the course Introduction to Human Resource Management, we are going to look at a process called talent management. This is perhaps the most important process of human resource management function. We need to understand that so many factors affect HR system. In the first session, we looked at HR system as a term for a comprehensive system which includes recruitment, selection, performance management, training and development, compensation management, industrial relation related processes. The factors like nature of workforce, and in the last session we talked about different demographic. In the last session we talked about different generations working at in any organization. That has impact on the nature and the way that kind of human resource can be managed. So, the nature of workforce, its demographic characters, its education, technological prowess, the culture within which that organization is located. All these factors affect the nature of workforce. Organizations also have their own culture. Here organization culture means shared values and beliefs in any collectivity, and here the organization is we are using as a reference. Here the organization is a collective system, and the culture is reflected by the shared values, beliefs, norms, traditions, rituals. It is also reflected by who are considered heroes in any organization, and that has also have immense impact on the nature and the kind of organization processes are evolved and they are implemented. In the first session we also discussed about organization strategy. A strategy is a pathway to achieve long term objectives, and that has impact on the HR system, and we had a detailed discussion in the first session. Organization of work, or what we call organization design, that also has impact on the HR system. Organizations can be of different design, and organization design can be of different kind, like functional organization, divisional organization, team based organizations, virtual organizations, network based organizations, so on and so forth. And that arrangement of work or organization of work which is reflected in the organization design also immensely very strongly affect the HR system. Then we also need to recognize that political, economic, social, technical and legal aspects of the environment in which organization is functioning also going to impact the nature of HR system. So, we need to understand that HR system is not independent system of its own, and it is affected by so many factors which are internal to organization as well as external to organization. When we say talent management, we need to recognize, and probably this is the basic tenet of talent management, is that performance in an organization is not only dependent on the ability of the people or organizational members working over there. Performance is factor of ability, motivation and opportunity to perform. All three factors affect performance of people in organization. We may have very talented people, but if they are not motivated to perform, if they are not inspired to perform, if they do not find their work meaningful, that will not result in the best of their performance. Many times it happens organizations are able to get sufficiently talented and intelligent or competent human resources, but they are not able to give the sufficient opportunity, and that opportunity loss can be because of the poor organization design, not using appropriate technology, uninspiring leadership, and many other factors. Even very talented and competent people may not get opportunity to perform and show their talent. So, the performance of the individuals in organization is factor of ability, motivation and opportunity to perform. Talent management can also be looked at as talent value chain. Many of you must be familiar to the economic value chain. Similarly, we can draw a talent value chain. Talent value chain starts with the employees' outcomes like behavior, knowledge and attitude. We must remember this framework: behavior, knowledge and attitude. These three are the constituents of competency. Competency leads to organizational outcome in the form of productivity and quality of the outcome. If organization productivity and quality of the output is there, naturally that will result into the positive financial outcomes like profitability or enhanced revenues, and financial outcomes relate to or reflected in the market based outcomes. A stock price is one of the market based outcome, but there can be multiple market based outcome like brand equity, brand recall, etc. So, like capital is very important for an organization, talent should also be considered as capital, and that has to be deployed successfully and effectively in any organization. For example, we have one study conducted by McKinsey which says that companies that keep reallocating the financial capital aggressively, it means probably in an agile manner from one division to another based on the market opportunity and performance, they were found to have worth 40% more in 15 years time in comparison to the companies which were not agile enough, which were not aggressive enough to reallocate the financial capital. In the same way, talent also should be considered as capital and need to be allocated at the different places at different point of time according to the market opportunity and performance. As a practicing manager, organizations have to ask certain questions. Answers to these questions can tell about the robustness of the talent management process. The first question is, what are the key roles in our organization? Are they aware of the key roles in the organization? Not all roles in organization create similar value, or they differ according to the criticality in terms of their impact on the value creation as well as in terms of availability of the talent for that particular role in the market. Second question is, do you have the right people in the company's key roles? Third question is, do your best people know what they are expected to do? That is related to knowledge and also related to skill. Whom do we consider future leaders in organization, and are we aware of the future leaders in the organization? Does HR function know, or do HR function knows or have a say in identifying the future leader. We need to understand that HR has to have important role in identifying the future leaders. What companies are hiring our best employees? Which are the industries or which are the organization people join after leaving our company? That tells with whom we are compared in the market. We also need to understand the talent management process from the HR planning perspective. HR planning or human resource planning is very important function of the HR department, and that has to be informed by the strategic orientation or strategic pathway of the organization, because strategy result into work demand, and work demand can be met by considering the factors influencing work design and looking at the different forms of work design. The understanding of the work demand which arise from the strategy formulation leads to labor supply, and that supply is affected by environment and the decision of the HR about whom to hire and how to hire, and labor supply result into strategy implementation. So, you can see that strategy formulation is the one end and strategy implementation is another end. In between comes HR planning, and HR planning has a direct role on strategy implementation. How do we go about it? How an organization can carry out a smart talent management process? We can call it a collaboration of G3. Who are these G3 in this case? These are CEO, CHRO and CFO. HR planning or talent management process has to be informed and has to be taken care of ultimately by this G3. They deploy both a roster of the top talent and deep understanding of the people on it. Here technology also plays and can play a very important role. There are so many software applications that can elevate our ability to identify, recruit or support talent. We can understand with this small caselet. There is a organization called Mars, which is a giant insurance broker and risk management. CEO invites CHRO and CFO to review the business. Now, review of the business was done on the parameter of business performance and organizational concerns. What is the meaning of this graph? That means they looked at different organizational concerns that can be related to marketing process, HR process, operational process, IT related processes, and within those processes what are the organizational concerns. And then they also looked at what will the impact of addressing that concern or those concerns will be on business performance. So, in this process they can identify which are the organization concerns which can have highest positive or negative impact on business performance. So, as a result of this analysis, the new sales incentive plan that was affected, and so adjustment in the new sales incentive plan happened, which CHRO was about to introduce, so that it would better align with the organization's overall business goals and would encourage to the team to deliver near term results and focus on the future. So, learning from this small caselet is that when you understand which thing on organizational side really advancing business performance, they have to be prioritized, and actually when we know with this knowledge, prioritization becomes very easy. G3 through formal and informal interaction ensure that talent and finance will be appropriately linked to to all mission critical decisions. And now we will look at the talent management process a little more closely. How to identify and cultivate the critical top talent? That is a critical question which HR function need to answer. We need to answer this question because potential of the company depends on top 2 to 5% employee who create disproportionately high value. There are studies now which suggest that performance in organization is not distributed in the normal curve or Gaussian curve. Performance in the organization is represented better by Pareto law. That means 20% of the talent contributes to 80% of organizational success. So, this is generally the first task of G3 to identify those people who are in the right role and they will be most accelerated, they will most accelerate the company's growth. We have example of some of the very bright and very highly valuable talent like Gerstner in IBM or Steve Jobs himself in the Apple. They bring very high level of value to the organization. So, organizations need to understand which are the critical talents and keep harnessing the talent in the organization. If we look at the overall picture and if we want to plot people across the organization in terms of their talent value, this graph can be plotted between performance and potential and willingness. So, using this framework we can categorize the talent. First category of the talent is which is high in terms of performance and slightly lower on or in the middle range of the potential and willingness. They constitute the solid citizens of the organization. They may not be very ambitious, they may not be stars, but they are the solid performers who are able to deliver day to day, week to week, quarter to quarter performance consistently quarter after year and perhaps year after year. So, in any organization there has to be a very strong and robust group of solid citizens. Second category of the talent can be performance problems, means people who are high on potential and willingness, but they are not able to perform well. These are the talent generally there in the amongst the group which are earlier in their employment life cycle. So, that is found in large percentage at the entry level or frontline management. These people have to be trained, training, coaching, mentoring, particularly training can be very useful for this category of talent, which are high on potential and willingness, but low on performance. Third category of talent can be called stars. These are stars because they contribute immensely to the productivity and innovation in an organization. They are very high on performance and they are also very high on potential and willingness. These are also our most vulnerable talent. These are the people, these are the performers whom competitors are generally always looking out for, and they act and talent in this category is most vulnerable for the talent poaching by the competitors. This category of talent, the best strategy for them is delegation. They do not like close monitoring, certainly do not like close directing. They have to be given sufficient autonomy to perform, and that is why in their case delegation is most important technique or method of management with them. Then there is a last category which are low on potential and willingness and also low on performance. This category is called misfit. These are the talent which may not be, this pool of talent are the least engaged pool in any organization. We need to recognize that these are not worthless human beings. Only thing is they may not fit in their current role, and that is why they are neither willing to perform nor they exert effort to show their performance. They may be highly talented and can be stars in some other organization or maybe in some other industry. So, organizations or particularly HR need to help and need to approach these misfits in a positive way. Even if they have to ask this pool of people to leave the organization, that has to be done compassionately and that has to be done respectfully and with dignity. In some good organizations, HR also helps these misfits to identify their true calling, identify their inherent talent, and sometimes they are guided to pursue that talent outside of the organization and sometimes even inside of the organization. So, we must notice that this matrix is called talent matrix. Here nothing is useless. All quadrant or all squares represent a unique kind of talent. Misfits have to be directed and they deserve more monitoring, whereas people who are high at the middle range of the performance and the middle to high range of the potential and willingness, they are the people most motivated by the incentives. So, we can see delegation, incentive, directing and monitoring, training and development may not work in all kinds of talents or all the human resources. Intelligent human resource department need to identify the category of the talent and accordingly they need to intervene. The good organizations are those which have systems and processes in the form of training and development, performance management and compensation management system, so that they can deal with the different categories of the talent differently. Similarly, training and development do not work and is not very useful for all the categories of the employees. Training and development works best for the people who are at the middle range of the potential and willingness and performance. So, we need to understand, so you can see that talent management metrics can be very helpful to track the talent and manage the different kind of talent according to its requirement by the HR function, and HR function can use this talent matrix to share their policies to the top management. Now, we will talk about some of the tips to identify the top talents. How do we identify the top talents? Top talent employees or the most valuable employees may not be having the fanciest of title. So, HR need to work more closely and more minutely to understand and to identify the critical top. HR has to work more meticulously to identify the top talent in organization. Now, how do we identify top talent? We can identify by looking at the who are the key actors in the social network of the company, most popular people. Who are the veterans in the organization whom newcomers turn to for advice to steer a cross-functional project. Who is the savvy analyst who provides valuable insights into diverse set of data? Who is programming expert who is remarkably fast? Someone who is great at clinching a deal. A charismatic person who creates and infectiously encourages people around him. So, these are some of the clues which HR managers have to keep looking at to identify the top talent in organization. Talent management process is a very important process, as we are discussing since last few minutes. Some examples will be worth quoting over here. Different organization actually can tweak the talent management according to the strategy and culture of their organization. So, for example, Piramal Group emphasize a lot, they value the value centric talent management approaches. They have identified some set of values, and these are very important for the organizational members to imbibe and live by in the Piramal Group. Similarly, Unilever also emphasize on the value centric talent management approach. Value centric multifaceted talent management approach is adopted by Tata Group. Tata Administrative Services has a very robust talent development program, wherein more than a year the management trainees are trained in different functions and different contexts. Strategic focused talent management approach is the example of the Mahindra AFS. So, this talent council is headed by the CEO, and many senior executives sit in the talent council. They have an interesting process called shadow boards program, wherein young talented employees are given opportunity to work with very senior people, sometimes even the board members, to get the big picture about the organization, and also it helps the senior managers to understand the perspective of the younger employees. There is a comprehensive study conducted by Deloitte Consulting, which included 269 Indian organizations with more than 100 employees. They found organizations in India's highly competitive labor market focused on leadership, diversity and responsive dialogue with employees are the most likely to perform well on business and talent outcome. That means, for the best talent management process in India, leadership development, encouraging diversity and responsive dialogue between leaders and employees are some of the most crucial processes. Digitized HR can be very useful in this process. Just to give some idea, this data can be interesting, that in 2015 venture capitalists invested about $2.5 billion in 383 HR software deals. Do HR department says that they have a software needed to analyze the performance of their employees? Answer is yes. And rise of super CFO coincides with the advent of the spreadsheet applications related to HR resources, human resources. These are some of the examples how HR's processes and systems which directly contribute to talent management are digitized. Very popular websites are Antilo. Antilo is a software for the intelligent recruiting. JobVite Link Media for the application tracking and the recruitment process. So, these are the softwares which have artificial intelligence and machine learning incorporated in it. They keep developing the insights based on the more and more data which is fed to their systems. Retention can also be helped by HR digitization. One example is given of the Google. So, based on the HR analytics, Google found that new mothers are the one which have very high attrition rate. So, based on that analysis, they increase the maternity leave for the employees, and that has a very significant impact on the retention of the talented female employees in the organization. Similarly, a career development process can be enhanced by using HR digitized process by looking at the employee life cycle analysis. Any employee in an organization goes through some cycle. First stage is entry, socialization, growth, plateau, and looking at and getting sometime new responsibilities or continuance of the play too. So, which are the talent, which are the organization, which are the employees having different stages of their career after certain years of age can give insight about who are the people who grow fastest, who are the people reach to play to at some point of their career. All this analysis can be done with the HR being digitized. Similarly, performance management can also be digitized, and more frequent interaction, more feedback, dynamic goal setting can be incorporated in the performance management system. There are a lot of organizations like GE, Netflix, Microsoft. In most of their functions, they do not identify yearly objectives. The performance objectives are set much more frequently. Instead of yearly, sometimes the objectives are set weekly, monthly or quarterly. Because of the dynamic nature of market, the expectation from different roles also keeps changing, and that process can be helped by a digitization process. Cultural transformation. People first organization means learning and collaborative work. Right? Work of Humanize at European Retail Bank showed that shared incentive structure lead to faster communication that led to greater productivity. So, you can see the shared incentive structure is a tangible process. Culture is the combination of tangible and intangible processes, and productivity is again a tangible outcome. With the robust digitized HR, with the robust analytics, we can identify the impact of the tangible process on the intangible outcomes as well as the business outcomes. There are few propositions for reflection at this point of time. Talent management process requires senior leaders involvement. So, selecting leadership talent is dependent a lot on getting seniors also involved in the process. This is because of many reasons. Number one, senior leaders have an idea what is needed in the organization. Number two, when senior leaders are involved in the selection process of the leadership talent, their psychological contract about grooming that talent also get strengthened. Number three, senior leaders are more knowledgeable anyways because of their bigger perspective, long term orientation and their more knowledge about the organizational strategy and organizational direction. Second point of reflection is that hiring for leadership should be done not just for the functional or academic expertise. Hiring for leadership should be for organizational success and organizational growth. So, the perspective and attitude of leaders is equally important, and that has to be considered at the time of talent acquisition or talent management, because that has implication on the strategic success of the organization. Learning about the person's values and behavior must be done before hiring. So, reference check or attitude survey or psychometric surveys should be done before the final interview of the talent. Cultural assimilation is again a very important aspect of talent management process. We can hire very talented people from outside of the organization, but if they find that their values are not in line with the values of the new organization, their best will not come. As a result of that, their attitude, their performance suffers, as well as in the long term their attitude and engagement also go down. So, cultural assimilation of the outsiders requires conscious effort. That effort should be done from the very beginning of the employee life cycle, that is from the socialization stage, and then intermittently there has to be some orientation processes, town halls, addressed by the CEOs, and many other clues through which organizational cultural values are constantly communicated to the employees. Now, we will look at some of the operational tips related to effective talent management system. First thing is candid conversation about who has the greatest leadership potential. Without the candid conversations, we cannot identify the critical talent, and as I mentioned before, that candid talent conversation has to be done from the financial perspective, from HR perspective, as well as from the business perspective. Leadership development process. Just one example is of the Center for Creative Leadership's Lead 4 success process. That includes awareness, learning agility, influence, and communication. These 4 aspects are found to be most important for any leader, hence that has to be part of any leadership development process. Many organizations have their customized process and approach of leadership development, and most of them incorporate some or other elements of this kind which are related to awareness, learning, fast learning, innovation, creativity, commitment, social concerns, a sense of responsibility towards toward different stakeholders, their ability to influence, and communication. So, some or in all leadership processes, at least some aspect of these 4 processes, some aspect of these 4 elements are always there for the talent management process. Creating process and opportunity for the frequent and honest feedback is also a very important aspect of talent management. Talent management can be promoted most strongly by making it as an explicit part of leader's job. It has to feature into the leader's performance appraisal, leader's performance management system. If organization has to, if organization is committed to build a strong talent management system. Then there are many other ways of talent development or leadership development, giving projects and assignment for the leadership development, robust database of employees' skill and expertise, and an interactive system which can give the gist of the skills and expertise of the different employees. Integration of the business review and people review. Only business review cannot give us the full picture about the future performance of the person. So, we need to have review of the personal qualities that may include qualities of interaction, attitude, values, and also the business review. Personal review and business review must be combined to have the complete picture of the talent. Judging performance beyond numbers is related to the attitude of the employees and their the emotional capital or social capital they generate or they have in the organization. These are some of the books, some of the very famous books on the talent management. You can take help of these books. So, in the first part of the session, we looked at the big picture about the talent management process. Now, we are going to look at very operational aspects of the talent management, and first aspect is filling the vacancy. Even before filling the vacancy, there are many significant HR processes have to be completed to make the recruitment process effective. So, we must understand that talent management process involves acquisition of the talent, assessment of the talent, and development of the talent. Recruitment is part of the acquisition of talent, but even before the acquisition of the talent, there are certain processes and there are certain documents which must be in place, like job analysis, job description, job specification, etc. We are looking at the job analysis, description, and specification aspects of the HR processes. Actually, the story starts with the potential vacancy. So, when we know that there is an opportunity to review or opportunity to hire someone, there can be multiple ways or strategies, there can be multiple ways of hiring. Straightforward, we need to look at whether this position is right for the straightforward replacement, or different jobs needs to be advertised, or work can be covered by other means, by dividing it amongst the existing human resource, or dividing it in the different jobs, or it can be outsourced. So, if a decision is to hire, then the first requirement for hiring is having a clear job description. Job description communicates to the applicants what the job involves. It ensures that everyone involved in the recruitment process is clear about what job involves, and it lays the foundation for getting the right person to do the job. Job description is the result of a strong job analysis and analysis of the organization. Job description may look a short version of the job analysis. Nonetheless, job description is a very concise document wherein job analysis happens to be a detailed one. So, we need to understand now what is job analysis. Job analysis is an analysis of the job that involves identifying what the current job entails, and that means what is the purpose of its job, what are the responsibilities, what are the approximate time percentage required to dispose of these responsibilities, what is the decision making authority, what are the measures of the organization, measures of the performance related to the job, and what are the knowledge and skills required. Job analysis document generally looks like this or some version of this, that has a purpose of the job, detailed responsibilities, and further details is in terms of includes a reporting process, a decision making authority, what are the measurement of the performance, and what the job knowledge or skills are required. This involves answering the question, do the plans for the organization have any impact on this job role? So, job description and writing of the job description start with the question, what will I want this person to do now and to meet any change in the foreseeable future. Typically, job description includes job title, the main purpose of the job, and it should be a single sentence which describes why the role exists and the main task of the jobs. So, administrator, prepare, produce, develop, monitor, these are the verbs, active verbs generally used in job description. Job analysis helps in extracting the appropriate job description, because it tells about who the job holder is responsible to, who the job holder is responsible for, any special condition under which that job has to be performed, and date of the job description. We all know that nature of the jobs keep changing. In next 10 years, you can take most of the organization, the nature of the job will be very different from that of today. So, date must be there in the job description and job analysis. Point for the discussion now are, how do we get this information? Will HR executive sit in her office and write down the job description and job analysis? Probably that will not be appropriate method, because no matter how intelligent that HR executive is, he or she cannot know what all is required to fulfill a particular job. So, obviously, she needs more data points or more sources of information to prepare job analysis and subsequently job description. We also need to understand that utility of the job description and job analysis is much beyond recruitment. That is why it is called anchor document. So, there are two anchor documents for the employees from the perspective of HR function. First is job analysis and second is performance management or performance appraisal form. These are the two anchor documents. They must be aligned, and these documents individually and collectively can throw light on requirements related to training and development, compensation management, legal requirements, and so on and so forth. In fact, all HR processes are informed by job analysis and performance appraisal form. With the detailed description of the job analysis, you can understand that job analysis at first is useful in the recruitment and selection process, because the detailing of the responsibility and skills, special conditions, etc. is given. So, it is helpful to identify the appropriate recruitment source and recruitment methods for the candidates. We are going to discuss recruitment selection in more detail in the next session. Here I wish to communicate that job analysis is useful for recruitment and selection. It is also useful for compensation, because compensation is determined by the critical competencies in the market, and those critical competencies we come to know by looking at the job analysis. Performance appraisal form can also be designed only based on the job analysis. If job analysis is detailed one, appropriate one, then we can have very intelligent performance appraisal form. Job analysis also helps in identifying training needs and training requirements. It helps in ensuring the legal compliances. All societies, all the systems have some legal requirement pertaining to job conditions, remuneration and working environment. Those legal compliances are reflected to be fulfilled through job analysis, because those things have to be addressed and those things are related to certain legal requirements. Discovering unassigned duties, that also can be identified by job analysis. How we can identify the unassigned duties? We can look at the analysis, detailed analysis of any job, and we can check whether people are performing those jobs, are they performing those duties or not. By looking at the job analysis and organizational process, we can identify those processes which are not incorporated in any job analysis. So, these are unassigned duties. The very first step of job analysis is to identify where I am going to use this information. As I mentioned before, that job analysis information is useful for many HR processes. Second step is reviewing the relevant background information. Background information about the job and job conditions. Third step is selecting the representative positions. We cannot have analysis done for all the position, each and every position in an organization. We need to select the representative position to write the job analysis. Fourth step is analyzing the job. With whom we have to verify? We need to verify the job analysis information with the multiple stakeholders. We need to understand that actual job analysis is done in close collaboration with various stakeholders. We talk to the different stakeholders and the job holders about their duties, responsibilities and the condition under which they have to perform their work. We need to create a document, and that document has to be further verified by these stakeholders and the job holders. After the verification, we write job description and job specification. Now, we will look at methods of collecting job analysis information. So, first is the interview method. We look at the information sources. First method is the interview method. Information source can be of the individual employees about which the job analysis is done, group of the employees. We can do it with the focus group discussion. We can ask supervisors about what is required in a particular job which he or she is supervising. The advantage of collecting information in this way is that it is quick and it is a direct way to find the information. Associated disadvantage is that people may distort the information. So, in order to check this disadvantage and to make the interview process more useful, interview has to be a combination of structured and unstructured ways. This is one example given in the Dessler and Biju Worke's book about job analysis questionnaire that is used for developing job description. The job analysis questionnaire can tell captures the information about what is the overall purpose of the job, if the incumbent supervises someone, what is the job title, if there is more than one employee with the same title, put the number of percentages, checking the activities that are part of the supervisory role, job duty. You can look at this sample of the job analysis. It also includes experience, location, environmental condition, health and safety related issues. And in this questionnaire you can see there is a structured way as well as open ended qualitative way of collecting information. So, first part of this was more structured and the later part you see is more open ended, where the questions are like describing the successful completion or end result of the job, what is the seriousness of error on this job. So, these questions are the open ended qualitative questions which tells about the nature of the job and helps in writing job analysis. There are certain guidelines for conducting job analysis. Job analyst and supervisor should work together to identify the workers who know the job best. Quickly establish the rapport with the interviewees. Follow a structured guide or checklist, one that lists open-ended questions and provide the spaces for the answers. Ask the workers to list his or her duties in order of importance and frequency of occurrence. After completing the interview information must be reviewed and verified with the data. Questionnaire method of job analysis is also very valuable, very important. That can be structured or again open ended. Advantage of this method is that it is quick and efficient way to gather information from large number of employees, and a disadvantage is that expense and time consumed in preparing and testing the questionnaire is significant. It has to be done consciously, and one thing is that whichever questionnaire is prepared, there must be a pilot testing done. Without pilot testing, we can never know how the questions will be understood by the respondents. Observation is another method of collecting job analysis information. That is about noting the physical activities of the employee as they go about their job. The advantage of this method is that it provides a first hand information and reduces the distortion, and disadvantage is that it demands time. It is a time consuming process, and sometimes it is difficult to capture the entire job cycle because job cycle may end in several weeks or maybe even months, and it is of little use if the job involves a high level of mental activity. So, looking at the employee, just observing the employee will not help us to identify what is the level of mental activities involved in the job. Another very interesting method of collecting the information about job analysis is looking at the participants' diary or logs. That gives the true picture about the time investment in particular activities, in different activities by the job holders. So, obviously, it has advantage of more complete picture. We can make sense of the entire job cycle looking at the participant's diary. Employee in this way is closely involved. So, there is a very high level of employee participation in this method, and now it has a disadvantage that employee may, it has a disadvantage that diary may have incorrect information, and in this method we are totally dependent on the employee alone for accurately recalling their activities. There are some quantitative job analysis methods as well. We will look at these two: position analysis questionnaire and functional job analysis. So, this is one example given in the book of Dessler and Biju Worke, Human Resource Management, by the Pearson publication. So, this position analysis questionnaire is reflected. It has 6 dimensions, and this exhibits the 11 of the information input questions or elements. Other position analysis questionnaire contain the question regarding mental process, work output, job context, etc. So, if you look at the source of job information, that is about rating each of the items in terms of the extent to which it is used by a worker as source of information. So, this is one part of the job information input, and from where in this particular job information input comes. It comes from the written material, it comes from the quantitative material, pattern related devices, etc. So, this is just an example, and in front of those we give some number, whether it applies, nominally apply, and substantially apply in the particular job. So, position analysis questionnaire is done on these few dimensions: work output, processes, relationship with others, etc., and different kinds and different degrees of those 6 dimensions are mentioned in the instrument. This is another example of using quantitative method of job analysis. Any job requires to work with data, people, or things, or machinery. Data can be in the form of data entry, synthesis, coordination, computing, comparing. So, you can see with the increase in number, the complexity involved in dealing with that particular aspect increases. So, those numbers are then counted, and that gives the numerical picture about the job analysis, and that one number is useful to put people in the different hierarchical level. It also helps in compensation management. To all the MBA students, I particularly encourage them to look at this O*Net website, because this O*Net website has a very detailed job analysis about so many jobs across the world. So, you will be surprised to look at the detailed classification of the jobs available on this website, and pertaining to each job you can look at the different competencies or different requirements related to cognitive ability, emotional abilities, skill, attitude, technical requirements, so on and so forth. So, this is a very rich website, and which provides information about so many jobs all across the world available in the market. So, after job analysis comes job description part. So, this slide gives the different sections in a typical job description. Typically, the job description first has job identification, it gives job summary, responsibilities and duties, authority of the incumbent, standards of performance, working conditions, and job specification. Generally, job identification is about job title, the preparation date must be given, who has prepared the job description also must be given. Job summary includes the general nature of the job and major activities involved in it. Then it also tells about the relationship. This job will require or in this job incumbent will be reporting to so and so or work with so and so, that has to be mentioned. responsibilities and duties in nutshell are given in the job description. That includes major responsibilities, decision making authority, direct supervision, budgetary limitations, etc., and standard of the performance and working condition. If there is any specific particular condition under which person has to perform, that also has to be mentioned in the job description. Then comes job specification. Job specification is person's competency or competency requirement of the incumbent. This is the reflection of person specification that has skills, qualification, knowledge, experience and special conditions. Importance of a specification is that it clarifies exactly what you are looking for in a person. It communicates to potential applicants what you are looking for in terms of their qualification and experience and skills. It allows to compare the applicants. Since job specification by name itself suggests that it is specific data, we can have valid comparison amongst the applicants based on the job specification and to what extent they are meeting those job specifications. It provides a structure for interview. In the interview, we are going to discuss the interview process in the next session, but I must share that interview is not a method where you can assess each and everything or a large number of things about the candidate. And what can be assessed during the interview is a very important question. We will see how this question can be addressed in the next session, but in this session we must understand that job specification is very useful to control the interaction in the interview and to make the interaction in the interview more fruitful and more objective oriented. It helps to be objective and it ensures the selection process is fair and transparent. Next important topic is integration of the jobs and roles. In the knowledge and service organizations, definition of job itself is difficult. What is considered to be the job today may not be the job in the months to come or years to come. So it depends on the way organizations are viewed, whether organizations are used as social system or mechanistic entities. Nonetheless, jobs are regularly changing. They are changing fast. If we look at the organization, in most of the positions, actually people not only hold jobs, but they hold roles. What is the difference between job and role? Job is the set of activity and role is the set and forms of relationship with different stakeholders. So jobs can be described as tasks and activities, but roles are described as expected behavior in that particular position. Jobs are focused on current performance, but roles are related to future potential. Jobs are more tangible and observable, whereas roles are relatively intangible and observable but intangible. The performance assessment in the jobs is more on the output. Roles also are assessed on the output, but output can also be in the form of behavior or in the form of attitude. Jobs are related to what is done and roles are related to how it is done. Professional development focus on the skill development, whereas professional development to make person more competent in a particular role involves acquiring life skills as well. Job analysis in the jobless world must be a question to deal with. We all know that market is very dynamic and role as well as job in any organization keeps evolving. So HR function need to engage in at least 3 activities to keep the employees engaged and get best performance through them. First is job enlargement. Enlargement is also called horizontal integration, because here the the nature of competency required do not changes, but job involves more territory or it is its impact is expanded. Job rotation means moving people from one job or one role to other role, that gives them idea about the whole organization, that breaks the boredom, it helps people to develop different sorts of talents, and many times job rotation is a very efficient way of managing the expenses related to personnel and related to human resources. Job enrichment is also called vertical enlargement, wherein more different types of responsibility, not only in terms of their scope, but the very type of responsibilities are added to the job. We all know that a process called de-jobbing is happening in the organizations, because organizations are flattening with time and technology is helping a lot in that process. More and more organizations are using self-managed work teams. In the self-management work teams, jobs are not very clearly defined, and people have to complement each other in terms of the competencies, not in and very specific and rigid job analysis or job description do not applies on the people who are working in the self-management work teams. Business processes are getting re-engineered, means they are thoroughly revised because of the technology or change in the market dynamics or the management processes. Re-engineering simply means redesigning the organization from the futuristic perspective, and in the process of re-engineering, jobs keep getting redefined and keep vanishing and new jobs keep emerging. HR function has to be informed the way jobs are vanishing or changing in the organization, because it is only through that information they can refine the job analysis, they can identify the key competencies required to hold a particular role. So, as a result of this dynamic process, many organizations are now moving from job analysis to competency mapping. Competency mapping is more broad based exercise which is more flexible with time. Competencies are the demonstrable characteristic of person that enable performance of a job. That definition we must keep in mind, and also we must keep in mind three things which constitute competency: attitude, knowledge and skills. Reasons for competency based job analysis are that it supports the high performance work system. In the first session we looked at the competency maturity model or CMM, and you might remember that level 3 of CMM is about defining all HR processes in context of the competencies or having a strong competency map for different jobs or roles in the organization. That helps in building the high performance work system. Level 4 and level 5 related processes of CMM cannot be implemented without competency maps of about different jobs in the organization. It supports the performance management process in fostering, measuring and rewarding the general competencies, leadership competencies and technical competencies. It is a rigorous process, but very useful to define the different roles in terms of the competencies. So, instead of defining the job minutely, now HR defines the competencies required in a particular role. Within those competencies, jobs can keep changing with time and keep changing with the customer's requirement or market requirement. How to write job competency based analysis or job competency based description is as follows. Interview the job incumbent and their supervisors, asking the open ended questions about the responsibilities and activities, identifying the critical incidents that pinpoint success on the jobs, and use off the shelf competency data bank. And as I mentioned to you, O star net is one of the examples of the competency based data banks which can be referred to do the job to complete the competency maps pertaining to different positions and different jobs in the organization. This is one example of the competency map or skill matrix. So, skill matrix is the subset of the overall competency map. Along with the skill competency map will also have attitude and knowledge. So, this is one example of one job in British Petroleum. This example again is taken from the book of Human Resource Management by Dessler and Worke. This is example where in one job technical expertise, business awareness, communication, interpersonal skills, decision making, leadership guidance, planning and organizing ability, these are the part of any in a particular job, and from A to H that represents the level of complexity involved related to that particular skill. And in context of a particular job, particular level of skill and similarly attitude and knowledge can be identified, and based on that the skill map can be made, based on which the competency map can be prepared. Competency map gives the flexibility to the employee as well as HR to meet the changing demands of the job and role according to the market dynamics and customers or clients requirement. So, in this session we looked at the process of talent management, which is very crucial process for any HR function. We discussed about some of the best practices in the talent management and also discussed about the talent metrics. We discussed about some operational tips to conduct the talent management process effectively and successfully by the HR function, and then we move to the job analysis, job description, job specification and competency mapping. These all four aspects contributes to the talent management, the very first step of the talent management process. We also looked at how this process can be aligned to strategy and further informs other processes like performance management system, training and development, etc. In the next session we will look at recruitment and selection. In the recruitment and selection process again we will see how job analysis, specification, description, competency mapping are so very important, and we will also look at how this core document or anchor document helps in identifying the appropriate selection methods and which are the appropriate selection methods pertaining to different kinds of skills, attitudes and knowledge. With this we end the session 2 about HR Human Resource Management course. Thank you very much. Namaste.